Okay, we're starting at the airport, and we've got my son Noah here. He's on his learner permit, is my chauffeur. You can see a huge military plane there. Not sure what that's called exactly, but that's a big one, that's for sure. Anyway, this is the airport. This is where you would have landed. It was very busy. It is less busy now, as you can imagine. We do track the number of flights that we're in. I mean, they get 50, 60,000 every year. Both exploration and activity when that's going on. That's reduced. Anyway, there's one of our Northern Airlines, First Air. The other Northern airline we had, we will be going by their cargo office, was Canadian North. They were competing, and now they've merged. They merged pre-COVID. You can turn down there, turn right down there the way we came up, Noah. Pre-COVID, and they haven't gotten their marketing straightened out. They're very weak on marketing. We have a contra deal with them worth some $30,000 where we get our cargo done, and here you can see the Canadian North, so they get a bit of marketing branding confusion going on there. And we're I think towards the end. I think it's spring of 2021 that deal runs out, and we will have spent all our $35,000 on cargo and flights, and they haven't spent any despite our urging them to do so. So, not sure if there's a lapse in management there, but here you can see the RCMP and the military. Over there, that big hangar, we'll go by their offices, is Buffalo Air. I don't know if you've heard of Buffalo Joe. He was on TV with a reality show, so along with the Ice Road Truckers. I think the Ice Road Truckers were first, and these guys came second. They're quite the airline. A consultant in town that I know has hit the ground pretty hard once, and they like to fly refurbished DC-3s. That's their specialty. Not sure how long they can keep doing that. Anyway, they've got a name for themselves. They're able to sell sweatshirts and fly cargo, but they can't fly passengers anymore. So this is basically our airport authority. I would put that in quotation marks. It's they want to make it into an economic engine, and we're trying to get in there and help them out with some signage. There's a fellow in town, an entrepreneur, who wants to get some signage in there, and he wants us to sell it. So we're talking to them about that, but being a government operation, it's very slow. We're just coming up on to Aurora Ford here, and the car dealers have been good to us. They've stuck with us. They're difficult to deal with. They're basically owned by an outfit out of there's this one, and I believe another General Motors one, Chrysler one, is owned by the same company, and they have a Hay River operation.
Where you want me to turn?
Turn into the old airport road there. So they're not the easiest people to deal with, but we get a lot of full pages out of them, and we're part of their marketing. No doubt part of their co-op dollars get spent there as much. They use the radio as well. This is a rather large logistics operation here. They Summit Air, I think, and they also have a trucking unit. They're owned by another conglomerate down south, as is this Great Slave Helicopters. So their activity has slowed down somewhat. They're affected greatly by the exploration industry, mineral exploration industry. So now we're coming into town, one of the two ways into town. This is sort of light industry and mining support. We're going by the independently owned car dealer. They're just opened up, just pre-COVID. They opened up, and they haven't really even had a grand opening yet. So we're not sure what's going on with them. This is the trucking outfit that I mentioned, and it's Robinson Trucking Limited, West Can Company, I guess. That's the big name. And they do a lot of business. They do the ice road, and the ice road basically supplies the mines, the 2 operating mines that we have now, and we have one mine that is the subject of some, and here's the other car outlet, and that one's owned by the same company as the one by the airport there. Now we're getting into our box stores here. Kind of have one of everything. Our home hardware, we run flyers for them, and Canadian Tire, and we try to get them advertising, and it really depends on the owner. And sometimes, well, we had a bit of a problem there with a story about hand sanitizer, just the opening of COVID, that was not probably the best story, but it was one of those things that gets you in the neck when you least expect it. This is one of our major shopping places. It's a bit dark there, but that's the Co-op. Should lighten up. Big operation, good customer. We do a lot with them. They often run full-page promotional grocery ads in there. Got their gas bar. Here we're coming up to Staples and some smaller retail stores. Again, it's difficult to get those guys to engage. We do our best, but if you guys have any national deals with them, that would certainly help out. Here we've got our sort of strip mall. Now, down this road would take you into suburbia. This is basically the part of town that is, as you would probably be familiar with, it's sucking the life out of the downtown, because the major part of the population, of the moneyed population, lives out here. So that tends to attract the box stores and kill the retailers down in the center of town, which you'll see when we go down there. Very few of them. You can't quite see that, but that building, the brown building there, is the Walmart, and that thing pumps cash. Feels like 24/7. I'm sure it's not, but it feels like it. Apparently it is the smallest Walmart in North America that per square foot pumps out more cash. People like to talk about those types of things, and I'm not sure whether it's true or not, but it certainly is busy. As you see today, it's busy. And it's like that every day, all day long. We get a lot of people coming in from the communities outside of Yellowknife who will shop there, because you can imagine the Co-op system and the Northwest Company, they run stores in the small communities outside. Why don't you... we'll just go straight here, I guess. So, again, some more. You see that sign directly there? I was talking to the owner of the mall here about getting an electronic sign up there. We were going to try that revenue stream. Just as COVID hit, so I kind of pulled back. I was just a bit nervous about that. It's about a $30,000 expenditure. There's our hospital. You can see in the background there, our old hospital and our new hospital, and independent. Again, Loblaws. So got your requisite McDonald's, and we're going to be getting a Starbucks and a Kentucky Fried Chicken. So again, we're getting into more suburbia here, and we'll be moving closer to downtown. There's not much government presence out here. There's just that one warehouse, which is, I think, houses computer equipment. So we're going by one of the original trailer parks here. Trailers are a big thing up here. Trailers can go for anywhere from 300 to 400,000. Those ones in there would go for certainly less, but that's generally how people get into the housing. You can see more suburbia over here. The building over there you can see is our field house and twin pad arena. We're going to be going by the fire station here. The city budget is somewhere in the area of 50-60 million. Another layer of government, not particularly friendly, because they would prefer that we don't report on anything they do, and if we do report on it, we do it so in a favorable fashion. So we try to get them advertising as much as we can. We're patient with them and take no slights personally. So now we're heading further into town. This is our journalistic competition coming up here, CBC. Got like a $20 million budget, which is pretty hard to compete with. And that's an old story. This is the older part of suburbia down here. Quite a few homes, probably in the neighborhood of 1,000 or a couple of thousand homes. There's our tennis courts, and you can't see, but just over here to our left, we have a curling rink and a swimming pool, which is slated, the swimming pool is slated to be a new aquatic center. Not sure how that's going to go, because they've lost a lot of money on user fees in the present pool and the field house and the hockey. They'll be going to the ratepayers to make up for that while they build up their empire. So I'm not sure how that's going to go. And we're getting closer to downtown here, and know some directions here pretty soon. This is a ballpark. They ran Chase the Ace there and got up to something like $500,000. So they're going to have couches in their dressing rooms, no doubt. Some of the apartment buildings coming into downtown, and here we're coming up to an old folks home and sort of community in there. This is really, my generation is really the first one that's had a lot of people grow older here. A lot of people would make their money and go south, but more and more we're staying here. Thanks to biology, you get kids, you want to hang around. So plus the healthcare is pretty good. We all get Blue Cross cards when we turn 65. So here's one of our hotels. It's struggling right now. And here we're coming up to downtown. So Noah, if you could at some point get into the left-hand lane, we'll try to pull down there and show them some of that. A lot of buildings. Northwest Tel is the main provider. It's a creature of Bell, and basically sucks the cash out of us monthly while giving us poor service. And a lot of this is government space that you're seeing. There is the federal building, which is, as you can tell by the architecture, rest of everything else is square, and that has rounded spaces, which always adds to the cost. And I believe there theoretically is some sort of forest on top of that building. I'm not sure how that's working out for them. Nobody gets to see it, but every now and again you get a glimpse of dying trees. And Canarctic does that signage there, so they're getting some good business out of Northwest Hill. There's some apartment buildings down there that you can see. Okay, and right here we are crossing the center of town, 50th and 50th, and if you look down there, you can see the newspapers down there. So I'll just get Noah to keep going straight, and we'll go down into what's called Old Town, which is this is Aurora Tourism, or Aurora Village. We're passing here, which they would have 7-8 buses lined up every night picking up tourists. Here's one of our furniture stores, independent furniture store, and they're good customers, for sure. And here we can see, getting up to some more government buildings, and the Days Inn. There's the Salvation Army. There's an annex to the Days Inn, and more residential buildings up there with a fantastic view of the bay. You can sort of see that down there. We're now going into Old Town, which is fairly well-heeled part of town, and is the tourism center. This is for homeless people. This whole unit here was a hotel that's been converted. Homeless here obviously need shelter at -40, otherwise we would have more fatalities than we already do. So that's one of government's, and we offered up one of our buildings for a sobering center, so that's along the same lines. Here we're coming up to one of the more recent successful ventures, the NWT Brewing Company. Some young local kids started that up, and it made a really successful business. Oops. And we are just going by some tourism cabins. They would all be full. They're not doing too badly right now. And we're in the heart of Old Town here. So we'll just take a drive through there and give you a sense of the flavor of the place. Might be able to catch a glimpse of some of the houseboats. We have a lot of houseboats out there. It won't be too long before we're driving on that ice. And that turns into real estate out there. Tax-free real estate for 6 months of the year. You can't beat it. Did it for a few years myself. And it's a great way to live, especially if you like the water, which I, coming from New Brunswick, do. Starting to get into some more residential. This is a float base for Buffalo, and here's one of our local airlines called Air Tindy. They do scheduled air service to the communities. And we're getting into some residential here again, and we're going to be all residential here pretty soon. Yeah. We'll have planes flying off the ice here as soon as it gets thicker. Probably another month. It'll be pretty good. And now we're on Latham Island. And it's a funny kind of place because you have in some instances, quite expensive homes, and there's no sewer and water lines. I live down here myself, and we get water delivery twice a week in a water truck, and we get sewage pump out twice a week in a sewage truck. So still, you get to live by the lake, which is great if you're into sailing or kayaking or whatever you happen to be. It's a very sports-oriented town with a young A lot of people in the bureaucracy are young and well paid, so they basically like their recreation. And there you can see, go straight up into Delo. There you can see there's a playground out there that you can do many things on. The snowmobiles will be buzzing around there pretty soon. That's where I park my boat down, right down there in that bay. And here we've got some bed and breakfasts for the tourism. The tourists like it down here. Was big business. We're now going into the indigenous community here called Delo. It's Yellowknife First Nations, and they have the best waterfront in town. They're attempting to get into economic development despite the best efforts of the territorial government to prevent that by the slowness of development and the slowness in completing the land claims. It's a very tedious process that slogs on and on, decade after decade, and accomplishes very little. But anyway, that's the way it goes. Here they have a school built, which is an improvement over past years. And you can see some homes there, which have much improved. I think we'll come across some original homes that these have replaced. So everybody is prospering somewhat in the time that I've been here, that's for sure. This is treated like a part of the city, except for it's treated as one federal lot. And the federal government pays the city the tax on it. And we've got an elder's home here. And there we're looking at what we call Back Bay. And you can't see it terribly well, but I'll point it to the site of the old giant gold mine. We did have gold mines in either end of town here. And the giant mine, ran for many years, probably 60, 50 years. It's over there. Now is, because we've got 250,000 tons of arsenic trioxide in 40-gallon drums stored in the old stopes that can't be dealt with and must be guarded. They basically put it in the mine, flooded the mine, froze the mine with Freon tubes in perpetuity, and have $1 billion budget, I believe, for the next 30 years. So that's like having another mine. And the Yellowknife Denny are doing their best to be the main contractor on that, and having some success. We've got some indigenous development corporations that are attempting to prosper off the mines. They do the big contracts, logistics contracts for the mines, the two operating mines now, and they're doing fairly well, but could do a lot better. Our education system is not very good at producing a good workforce. They're just very bad when it comes to producing students. Okay, so some more waterfront here. Interesting homes for sure. Beautiful place in the summertime, as you can imagine. I hope you can imagine. Hard to imagine. We're not going to see it for another 7 months, but anyway, that's all right. Okay. So we're just about to come off the island. More access to Back Bay there. And this, of course, is Great Slave Lake that we're on, so it's a big one. I think it's the 11th largest freshwater lake in the world, and one largest in Canada. It competes with the Great Lakes, that's for sure, except for there's no industry around it yet. Not sure when that'll change, but doubt anytime soon. There you can see sort of the skyline of the city there. And we're coming back off the island. There's Ertindi again. And there's a great waterfront development there that got killed by the city. We're not sure what happened there. They were going to build condos there, but apparently they can't anymore. It's kind of too bad because it would have been pretty impressive. This is where a lot of float bases. Max Ward, that's his operation there. Unfortunately, died a couple of weeks ago. Got its start here. And there's the motor boat club that now here's Weaver and DeVore. These guys are an old school store, but we built them a e-commerce website and they're doing very well with it, although they're difficult to deal with, but only because everybody thinks that doing websites and things of that nature should be the easiest thing in the world, when of course it's not, depending on what you want. So now we're heading back up the hill. Let's go into Niven. We'll just take you into Niven. It'll give you an idea of the scale of the homes. When we were coming into town there are pockets of similar sort of affluence and a mix of middle class and upper class. There's a larger development further out that has some what we would consider luxury homes. I'm not sure necessarily classify for that the further south you get, but construction up here is an expensive proposition no matter what. And we're looking at that is our racket club, and they got kind of hit by COVID, but I see the parking lot is starting to fill up again. So I think we had another case reported, so we've only had 10. How long we can keep that at bay is not sure. With a society dominated by government that we are, they're certainly more adept at shutting down the economy than they will be at restarting it, but they are, of course, the economy themselves. So we're now going to go into what's called Niven Lake, which was a development by the city that is housing a lot of people. And it's fairly close to town, so people like it a lot. This is an older trailer park that we're going by, and again, these houses can go for, you know, 250, 300, 1,000, hard to say. So here we're getting into the obligatory multi-use buildings that had to come with the development. And we're getting into the development itself. So this is probably a few hundred homes here, I would say. Various stages of development that they've been through. That's an architect. You can always tell the architect's house. Okay. One thing we can say is that they generally don't go for the same design each time, which is fine. Makes it more interesting to the eye. And here's some recent condo developments. I think some BC fellows did this. Homes up there, you can scope what's going on here. More developments. This is smaller condo units. They like to build on rock here. As a result, not too many homes have basements because it's pretty hard to blast that bedrock out of there. But it certainly makes for a more stable foundation. The housing market here is pretty good, but we haven't had much luck with advertising with them. They've basically gone the web route, and I'm considering whether we should be inviting people to advertise their homes for free on our Buy North webpage, and then we will sell space to contractors and treat the listings as content. So there's more houses up there, that route up there, and as you can see, there's a fair number of apartments. So we're gonna come out, and if we were to turn a little further up here, the road that you see ahead of us, going parallel to, is the road to the airport. And we're kind of looking at the back end of the town that we were looking at before. It's our little skyline. And we're going to go out onto the road. And we're going to turn left up here. If we were to turn right, we would go out a road that leads to cottage country and some rural living, and the giant mines out that way, and the city dump, which is a great place to find everything you need, because people, generally speaking, leave town and have to face the agonizing question, unless somebody else is paying for it, of whether they take that piece of furniture or drag it all the way back south wherever they happen to be going. So often or not, the furniture gets left behind, and happy scavengers pick them up and brag about them to all their neighbors. Here's one of the hotels that was built by Edmonton entrepreneur Mike Majenovich to capture the Aurora viewing, and now is a COVID quarantine hotel. Quarantining. There you see behind it, his competitor that he took on is the Explorer Hotel. That's where the royalty stays. Now, if you can look back here, you probably can't quite see it well. Could have turned in there, I suppose. There's the Legislative Assembly back there, and straight on is the not the Legislative Assembly. Is the Heritage Center, the museum. In the distance there, you can see the hospital. So it's a fairly compact little town, because all the water and sewer pipes up here have to be heated, of course, because otherwise the would all freeze up, which sometimes it does anyway. So we're going to go on past City Hall here, sort of another road of downtown. There, you got a stop sign. And there is the Joint North Task Force. That's the military. They've got increasing presence up here. Can I go down? No, I don't think we can go down there, so I'll have to go up that way. We can't get to City Hall. They're doing something there at the RCMP. City Hall's not hugely impressive. And we're just going through the center of downtown, so just go straight. Okay, so This is basically the center of the center. That's our Center Square Mall, which hasn't been much of a success, unfortunately. Kind of got hit with the sort of, I guess, the contraction and the the onslaught of Amazon. Took out a lot of our retailers. We've got some retailers here that we're trying to win back. We're certainly competing against Facebook in that, but we are winning some. We're getting some clients, customers that we hadn't used before. And we're just driving down now to give you an idea where the proximity of the Yellowknife and CanArctic offices are. Going past some pubs that have had some difficulty. There's the second subway. I think you only saw the one Tim Hortons. There's only one Tim Hortons in town. There should be, well, there's actually another outlet over there, but we're going to pull into the parking lot, and that will be the tour for today. You'll recognize when I took you through in the first part of this movie series. And this is our offices here. Okay, well, that's the tour of the town. We can certainly show you more if you so desire. Thank you.